Across human history, specific geometric figures recur with striking precision: a downward-pointing triangle, a world tree, a sacred chalice. Standard academic consensus treats these symbols as artifacts of human cognitive evolution that sink into the mind. Modern psychology categorizes these recurring shapes as products of the collective unconscious, treating transcendent symbols as the spontaneous, biological exhaust of primitive humanity. Carl Jung, the primary architect of this framework, observed patterns in his patients' dreams and correlated them with ancient myths. He concluded that spiritual symbols originate in the lower depths of the human psyche. This reduction of the divine to instinct and sentiment appears in the work of William James, who identified the subconscious as the specific mechanism through which humanity communicates with the divine. René Guénon identified this psychological framework as a catastrophic epistemological inversion. For Guénon, psychology has fundamentally reversed the structure of reality. He established a strict boundary between two domains: the infrahuman subconscious, a repository of psychic dregs, and the superhuman divine intellect, which remains independent of human psychology. Attributing symbols to the unconscious creates a dangerous inverted spirituality. It severs humanity from transcendent truths by directing the search for meaning downward into the psychological abyss, rather than upward into the divine intellect. Guénon diagnosed modernity as a system trapped between sterile rationalism and vague sentimentalism, where religion is reduced to a mere set of moral precepts. Both frameworks lack true intellectuality, the capacity for direct spiritual apprehension of absolute truth. Modern understanding relies on language. It is analytical, forcing the mind to follow sequential steps, processing information one node at a time. Traditional symbolism is synthetic and intuitive. A single symbol contains limitless conceptions simultaneously, revealing truths language cannot define. This contradicts the assumption that symbols are simplifications for the uneducated. Instead, they provide the only means to transmit data that exceeds the capacity of words. Guénon utilizes a Vedic analogy. While pure intelligence requires no external form, human nature requires a sensible, material base to reach higher spheres of knowledge. In this analogy, the symbol functions as a horse, a necessary vehicle that allows humanity to perform the metaphysical journey with efficiency. Guénon positions the symbol as a specific cognitive technology, engineered to elevate the human microcosm toward the macrocosm. Traditional symbolism originates from outside the human mind, dictated by a fixed law of correspondence. This law dictates the inferior order, the material world, strictly symbolizes the superior order of principial reality. The reverse is impossible. The physical world exists as a translation of higher principles, moving from the top down. This logic dismantles the naturalist error prevalent in modern academia, the belief that ancient myths were primitive attempts to explain seasonal vegetation or the stars. Myths do not represent the movement of the stars. Rather, the stars move as they do because physical laws translate metaphysical principles. This top-down structure is the Liber Mundi, the universe as a book, where every element of nature operates as a character in a divine language. Secular interpretations fail to read this book because they view nature as an arbitrary collection of accidents rather than an intentional ontological structure. Meaning precedes humanity. Nature is a symbol, a divine language modernity has forgotten how to decode. The Holy Grail provides a test case for esoteric transmission across Celtic, Christian, and Islamic frameworks. A.E. Waite's academic approach assumes the Grail legend evolved horizontally, gaining spiritualization through successive rewrites. Traditionalist metaphysics rejects this evolutionary model. A symbol contains its multiple exact meanings from its point of origin. Geometric overlaps demonstrate how the core truth remains constant. Whether viewed as a Celtic vessel, Christian chalice, or Islamic crescent, the underlying principle is fixed. These vessels are simultaneous reflections of the same light, not steps on a horizontal timeline. When the public preserves these symbols without understanding them, it is categorized as folklore. Guénon defines folklore as the remnants of dead traditions, not the spontaneous creations of the masses. The public acts as a lunar memory, a passive preserver of esoteric fragments they no longer comprehend. Identical, complex symbols appearing globally indicate a primordial tradition that transmits fixed esoteric data across civilizations. Esoteric practice relies on strict initiation, distinguishing it from the passive, sentimental states found in mysticism. The science of letters, Kabbalah, and Islamic ilmu huruf operates as a rigorous system where letters and numbers correlate to specific parts of the manifested universe. This science functions as a mechanism for cosmological harmonization, distinguishing it from localized magic. The language of the birds refers to rhythmic language, specifically mantras and dhikra. Calculating specific vibrations creates repercussions across the hierarchy of states, utilizing the mechanics of rhythm to open communication with suprahuman realms. These demanding sciences require precise knowledge. They are distinct from the goals of modern psychological therapy. Initiation is a structured ascent, utilizing the physics of spiritual vibration to transcend the human state. This defines the final conflict between psychoanalysis and traditionalism. The psychoanalytic approach searches for the divine by delving into the dark depths of the individual psyche, a path connecting humanity to the lowest psychic dregs. The traditionalist trajectory uses exact sciences to bypass the individual psyche, reaching instead for the universal intellect. Confusing the infrahuman with the suprahuman is the defining subversion of the modern era. To understand the sacred sciences is to realize that humanity does not invent meaning from the darkness below. We must remember the divine geometry bestowed from the light above.